Mr.Eamon Ryan is the Minister of Communications, and that's a very interesting layout for a ministry. He's the Minister of Communications, Energy and Natural Resources, which I find very foresightful. Minister Ryan, what is the link between the creative economy, the internet, and natural resources?
Thank you, Wolfgang. I think there is a real link in tackling, as was said earlier on by my Swedish colleague, some of the big challenges, climate change, energy security, by using the internet as a vehicle not just for economic development, but also for environmental gain. And maybe I could take and expand on our chairman's concept mentioned here of how the internet may well develop creatively towards an internet of things, and maybe give an example from our own work in our country to show how we might develop that. And again, taking our own country as an example, we've had a successful economy. We are looking now to develop it, a further knowledge economy, greater added value, developing ICT particularly to achieve that. We're also increasingly committed, personally, Europeans. And I think within the European context, the 2020 targets where we tackle climate change is a second track of work that I have to achieve in my energy brief as Minister. We are well placed as a country. So sometimes as a smaller countries you have an advantage. You can be flexible, you can actually make links with industry and adapt in a much more quicker way than possibly a larger country can. And we are also an interesting location in terms of we are the location already of some 210 of the largest multinational ICT companies, often now with research centres which are looking at some of these issues. We have our own indigenous companies, some 600 companies in the software sector, many of them located in our digital hub, where we're looking is designed to create a creative environment for new digital technologies. We also have an innovation strategy, science and technology innovation program up to 2013, investing some 8.2 billion, nationally concentrating on ICT, biotechnology, and renewable energy and energy efficiency. And increasingly we're seeing those three working together to deliver common solutions. I don't think we should underestimate the scale of the challenge we have, and again, maybe to use our own country as an example. We have a lot of natural resources of renewable energy. We're aiming to increase our level of renewable energy in electricity, for example, from some 10% at present to 42% at least by 2020. Very ambitious target. Even in achieving that, though, what we're seeing is we still have a problem. The demand for electricity can still continue to rise with economic development, often with development of digital industries. You know, these new data centers require huge amounts of electricity. So what we're seeing is not only can we solve it in terms of development of renewables, a key solution is also the development of efficiencies, of energy efficiencies. And this is, I think, particularly where the internet and the Internet of Things can come in. I want to give maybe some examples of that, some innovative new creative ideas that we're working on to help deliver such reductions. We have a workflow program we're looking at to try and tackle the issue of commuting, to use perhaps a local wireless network in the Greater Dublin area where we have significant traffic difficulties, to measure where vehicles are, both public transport vehicles and also individual cars. And then also in the home to connect an office-home work connection, a dynamic connection, so that the person home can possibly use that wireless information coming through to assess what their journey time might be, to assess what the real-time congestion issues are, and perhaps adapt their working conditions to adjust them to help us in the transport problem, but also to get greater working efficiencies. And that also, I think, has the prospect to expand the whole connectivity, that use of some of the devices we've seen here in our exhibition centre, where you can have work office connectivity on relatively low bandwidth that gives you real efficiencies and real gains. Another program we're looking at, in developing that renewable electricity, largely in our case off variable renewable energies like wind power and hopefully wave and ocean tidal power, we have to be smart in terms of how we develop our electricity grid, and we're looking at new digital assisted technologies to have a smart grid, to have a smart meter in every single house that will have the capability when electricity is expensive and when it's emitting a lot of emissions to cut back devices in the home, to have an internet connected fridge or air conditioning or other system which you can switch off in a smart way using this new internet technologies. A third example maybe I'd give is, and this is helping us in environmental task as well, we have a new Smart Bay project where to the west of Ireland, in Galway, we're looking to extend a fibre optic network out subsea and a corresponding system of buoys in the sea to measure what's going on in our oceans. It has huge potential to help us in our development of ocean energy, but also to let us understand what's happening in the North Atlantic, which for us is a very serious environmental measure. And it's again an example where relatively cheap technologies can be deployed using this new internet connectivity on materials, on simple devices, which provide you information and also provide you much greater efficiencies in managing your natural resources. So they're just three examples coming from our Science and Technology Innovation Programme. We have to go way beyond. It goes into every sector. I don't think people yet understand the scale of the response that's needed. I was very drawn by a comment by the Japanese ambassador at the United Nations negotiations in Nairobi on climate change. And he cited Japan's, the attitude we should have towards energy efficiency. He said it was akin to us, we should take a dry towel and squeeze it to get an extra drop of water out. And I thought it was a very good, powerful image because it showed the extent of effort I think we have to put into this area. I was very taken with our Japanese colleague minister this morning as well, and his taking off his tie to cope with the heat. If we don't do something, he's going to have to take off a lot more. And I think we can use digital technologies. I think we should be coming out of the conference here where the principles we're agreeing, and it's clear that there's a common principle that we can use the internet to help us tackle climate change. We should be giving very specific directions to the OECD Secretariat on Thursday to take those principles and to deliver them into real practical solutions. I understand that there's a plan to bring an OECD meeting to Denmark in 2009 when the key climate change negotiations are due to occur. And I think today's event, or this week's event, is timely for us to start preparing real solutions to help get global agreement in that crucial issue.
Thank you so much for this very inspired and inspiring statement from Minister Ryan from Ireland. To my left is the